Hello everyone! Welcome to Untold History, the space where we unveil fascinating stories that are not always found in conventional history books. In this episode, we will explore a dramatic, heroic, and at the same time tragic episode in the history of Jewish resistance against the vast and powerful Roman Empire, the Siege of the Fortress of Masada. This event is an enduring symbol of the struggle for freedom, bravery, and determination in extreme circumstances. Join us on this detailed and immersive tour of the events surrounding the Siege of Masada, the meticulous Roman strategy, and the stubborn and courageous resistance of the Jews who defended the fortress until their very last breath, making a fateful decision that has echoed through history and remains unforgettable. Context of the Siege of Masada is framed in the First Jewish-Roman War, a conflict that lasted from 66 AD to 73 AD. This war was the result of tensions built up over decades between the Jews of the province of Judea and the Roman Empire. The causes of this conflict were manifold: economic oppression, the religious practices of the Romans, the corruption of Roman governors, and the growing tension between Jewish nationalist movements seeking to free themselves from the Roman yoke. It all culminated in a major revolt in 66 AD, when Jewish rebels managed to take Jerusalem and drive out the Roman garrison. However, the Roman Empire, under the leadership of Emperor Vespasian and his son Titus, launched a brutal campaign of repression to put down the rebellion. Over the course of several years, the Romans gradually regained control of Judea. In 70 AD, after a long siege, Jerusalem was finally captured, and the temple, the spiritual and religious center of Judaism, was destroyed. This event was devastating for the Jews, but pockets of resistance remained, and one of the most significant was the fortress of Masada. Masada, located on a high plateau in the Judean desert near the Dead Sea, was a virtually impregnable fortress. Originally built by King Herod the Great in the late 1st century BC as a shelter in case of revolts, Masada was equipped with food stores, cisterns for collecting rainwater, and massive fortifications that made it an ideal fortress for defense. Following the destruction of Jerusalem, a group of Jewish rebels known as the Sicarii, led by Eliezer ben Yair, took refuge in Masada. The Sicarii were an extremist group that was radically opposed to Roman domination and were willing to fight to the end. For the Romans, the existence of this rebel fortress was an intolerable challenge. In 72 AD, the Roman governor of Judea, Lucius Flavius Silva, was tasked with eradicating the resistance at Masada and ending the rebellion once and for all. Silva organized a massive expedition, mobilizing the Ex-Fretensis Legion, a corps of approximately 8,000 men along with auxiliaries and slaves to lay siege to the fortress. The Siege of Masada was one of the longest and most difficult in Roman military history. Masada was located on an isolated plateau, surrounded by steep cliffs that made it almost inaccessible. The only way to capture it was by building a siege ramp, a monumental project that required the mobilization of thousands of men and impressive logistics. The Romans built a fortified camp around the base of the mountain and began to erect a siege wall, known as a circumvallatio, to make sure that no defenders could escape. The construction of the ramp was a feat of engineering. Using stones and earth, the Romans built a massive slope on the western side of the mountain, which eventually reached the height of the walls of Masada. This work took several months and was accompanied by constant attacks and harassment by Jewish defenders. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the situation within the fortress became more and more desperate. The defenders knew that once the Romans completed the ramp and brought in their battering rams, the collapse of the walls would be inevitable. The leader of the rebels, Eliezer ben Yair, faced a terrible choice: resist to the end and risk being captured and enslaved by the Romans, or make a radical and tragic decision. Eliezer, in an impassioned speech collected by the historian Flavius Josephus in his work The War of the Jews, convinced his companions that the only honorable option was collective suicide. To them, spiritual freedom and moral integrity were more valuable than life under Roman oppression. According to the account, the men killed their wives and children, then drew lots among themselves who would kill the rest of the fighters, and finally the last man took his own life. When Roman troops finally broke down the fortress gates in the spring of 74 AD, they found a terrifying silence. Inside Masada, instead of the noisy and desperate fighting they expected, they found the bodies of the defenders, along with a brutal testimony of their determination. Food and supplies stored intact, proving that the decision to commit suicide was not out of material desperation, but a final declaration of their freedom and rejection of slavery. The Siege of Masada was more than just a military victory for Rome, it became a powerful symbol for both Romans and Jews. For the Romans, it was a testament to the superiority of their military might and their ability to crush any resistance, no matter how remote or fortified. For the Jews, Masada became an emblem of heroic resistance in the face of tyranny. Over the centuries, the history of Masada has been remembered and reinterpreted in different contexts, especially in modern Zionism, where it has become a symbol of the struggle for independence and freedom. Today, the ruins of Masada still stand, attract thousands of visitors, and are a place of great historical and symbolic importance. Archaeological excavations have revealed remains of the warehouses, cisterns, baths built by Herod, and dwellings used by the rebels. In addition, the remains of the Roman siege ramp and surrounding camps are a tangible reminder of the relentless determination of both sides. Masada's remains stand not just as stones but as markers of a tragic yet inspiring legacy. The Siege of Masada is a tale of bravery, sacrifice, and difficult decisions in times of despair. Although tragic, it also highlights resilience and the unwavering fight for freedom. The echoes of this episode resonate even today, not only as a history lesson but as a reminder of the ideals that led those men and women to prefer death to slavery. Their story continues to be told as a message of courage and determination in the face of overwhelming adversity. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Siege of Masada. We hope you enjoyed this journey through history and found inspiration in the bravery of Masada's defenders, who symbolize resistance and the fight for freedom in the face of oppression. Don't forget to leave your comments and share the video if you liked it. If you want to continue discovering surprising stories of history, be sure to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. See you in the next episode of Untold History.